let's kick it off here. So thanks for having me, first of all. My name is Lars Rottweiler. I'm one of the founders and CTO of MBanq. We're doing embedded banking and financial services. That means we plan, design, layout, and kick off banks all over the world and financial services model, which are embedded in financial services. We'll probably talk about this later on. We run the back office, means we have people with the expertise of a bank, and we also provide sponsored banking licenses. So we have the IT, we have the back office, we have the licenses. We have literally cookie cutter to start digital banks or any embedded banking solution, right? Whatever this means. I think we find out through the next hour what we're doing exactly.
So banking as a service, effectively, right?
Banking as a service. It goes beyond banking as a service.
You allow people who want to set up.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, please.
It's banking as a service. I think that's the term which has been used for a while, but we go much further nowadays. We started with a core layer that we said, okay, we want to build the most modern banking core solution. And out of this architecture, then we got a lot of requests from neobanks, digital banks who want to start up the business. And so we had a fantastic IT underneath, but we recognized quite quickly that most people have a great idea how to build a bank, but they don't know how to operate it. So we deliver now the service of the back office in many different variations: compliance, regulatory risk, operating things like disbursement, even marketing or design. We go through whatever the bank does in-house, but we deliver it as a service to our clients. And then the last components are the licenses around it, right? And with this, we found our way into brands. So nowadays we do more brands. We do universities for student loans. We do soccer clubs for fan engagement. We do superstars, international superstars. So the variety goes more and more away from the classical banking infrastructure, but I think that's what the world is about. So the trusted place might not be the bank anymore. The trusted place might be now somewhere completely different, which we define in many different ways. So.
It's interesting you say that, because I'm actually in Portugal at a conference which is addressing exactly how do you use technology to get trust back into a lot of systems, because there are lots of promises and there are lots of contracts, but not everyone trusts those anymore. So I think that's a pretty heavy part of that. And I understand you do a lot more than just a bank as a service. You work with companies and brands to bring a certain financial product to the market, but you leverage their relationship and particularly their emotional relationship with their clients, fans, or members.
But that nails it pretty down. So that's our latest developments. A quite simple solution. If you went all days to a doctor with a frozen shoulder, he give you treatment, he give you physiotherapy. Nowadays, you open YouTube, you Google it, you find a physiotherapist online which shows you some movements to get your shoulder intact again. The same with the banker. If you needed financial advice 20 years back, you went to the bank. 10 years back, you went to the bank. But nowadays, you might look into your influencing path in your YouTube and listen what other people recommend you to put your money in, right? So we see that belonging to a group, to a subgroup. If you take a Las Vegas Raiders fan, you take a New York Jet fan. If you tell him who are you, what do you do, he would say, I'm a fan of Las Vegas Raiders, right? He will say that's a group I belong to, and I identify myself with. And we found out that the same trust you have to, let's say nowadays, to your fan club or whatever you engage with, that we will use for banking operations. And we don't talk about probably investment recommendations, but we look for the day-to-day way of banking. We have one client which is a huge charity organization, and of course charity, if someone donates money for a specific person, whoever receives something, he might quite likely use their card in the future from the same organization to buy groceries every day, right? And with this grocery spend, with a swipe of the card, you bring something back to the community. So we try to really use the fan engagement, the belonging towards something as an engagement to encapsulate this around financial services.
So for you, community is not just a geographical thing. It's more an association thing, right?
It's association, definitely. That's what it is, right? You belong to something. And
So
geographical, we're completely open. Those fan clubs, of course, if you look at superstars, they have fans all over the world. We as MBanq, we are very global. So we can leverage those systems from the US all the way to Europe, to Asia, APAC. So we do the whole global world, and we start rolling out those memberships then on one place, and then successively we go into other regions of the world, right? If this is required. A football club might be different, right? Football clubs might be more locally registered, but world stars in the pop and rock area, of course, these are global fans, and everyone wants to have their card to be having the logo of their favorite artist on it, right? Quite simple.
so explain a little bit about how this works, because let's assume that I wanted to, or and not me personally, right? Let's say that somebody had a certain following, a brand, a passion, even, right? So it could also be a brand or a philanthropic organization that really wanted to affect change. Because one of the topics of this whole session or series of sessions with the Davos Worldwide is about impact and how you can make a difference in your local community or even at a global level. So how do you see this as an enabler for impacting the change that people want to see? And not everyone may agree with what that individual wants to achieve, but how do you enable change for good or whatever the case may be for those initiative takers?
So it's more about financial inclusion, right? How do we reach everyone? And of course, in the Western world, everyone has bank accounts. In other countries of the world, people have access to bank accounts. But it has to be affordable at the end of the day. It has to be modern at the end of the day. It has to be easy approachable. And we have a very strong tech background. Our tech was completely new developed in 2016 onwards, and we had even the third version now and a complete new stack on it. So we're very modern with the technology underneath, completely AI enabled, of course. So we can operate those financial institutes with minimum amount of staff, right? One of our clients has multi-million accounts for the consumers, but they have less than 50 people working for them. Comparable to classical banks, I used to be member of the board and MD at Deutsche Bank for many years. I mean, there have been 100,000 of employees serving just a small million number of accounts. So these things can be differently approached nowadays, right? And it's really the tech is the secret behind it, the secret sauce. And we roll out solutions in Latin America, in Caribbean sub-regions, for example, where we build bank for the locals. And the people might be banked in Barbados, but we right now do it also Haiti. That's actually our social responsibility project, where we bring new banking to Haiti, a bank where 90% people still are underbanked and have a bank account. They have a mobile phone, but no bank account. So it needs education, it needs an app which is easy to use, at least to make them bankable, that they have somewhere they can put the money, right? And somewhere to enable payments, and
Well,
be
this is an
participating in
interesting
online
point because
services.
you talked about bankability, but I know from my own personal experience dealing with companies and organizations, there are a lot of areas where a sizable percentage of the population don't have traditional bank accounts, right? They use, if you take Africa, for example, mobile payments, mobile banking is probably more popular than a traditional bank account where, you walk around with a piece of plastic in your pocket. How is that something you guys can offer as well, or is that something that you're developing? How does that work?
We do everything, right? Do everything. Again, we go back to my football clubs. We do the fan enablement. We do the fan app basically.
Right.
And the app might be just a normal fan app, which is very modern. They even can put up the training sessions from Monday morning, whatever, online. They have a news feed in there. They have a point collection system, like a loyalty system, where fans, when they spend money, they get coins, and then later on they can use it for converting them into merchandise. And the merchandise shop is also part of the banking app, but there's also a banking component where you can make transfers, you can scan invoices and automatically can send the money out. You can, of course, use tap pay with your Visa or MasterCards. So that's all possible. And I think the difference is that we can, with the flexibility in our system, we can do it in any place in the world. We can talk to different jurisdictions. We have the ability to be very adjustable when it comes to compliance and regulatory behind it, because at the end it's still a bank. It's still a banking financial services service behind. Even though our client might not be banking, might be just participating in a banking service with a sponsor bank behind, but still there is everything in place what you need, like if you would be a full bank, right? And yeah, so the tech is the enabler, but the creativity, I say, is the street. Now you have to know what you want to
How do you
envision
handle
and make.
compliance and technical integration?
Oh, we have teams for this. You know, have experts. We have a lot of compliance experts on board. We have 45% of our staff are bankers or coming from the banking background. And myself, I was in PwC before. My founding partner, Vlad Lunigov, our CEO, was also on a senior executive role in PwC. So it was always important to be very compliant and regulatory driven. That's our ambition, right? And if you go into a new country, we work closely with the central banks. Work closely with local regulatory experts to achieve what they need, right? Brendan, are you still there? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I don't know what happened there. We got cut off. But yeah, the question you were replying to was, about the mobile banking side,
Yeah.
and you were covering how that whole happens on a global perspective. How do you manage compliance and technical integration on a global scale where different norms, not only technical, but requirements in terms of regulatory, in terms of governance, how do you manage all of those sorts of complexities?
So we just cut off. I just explained it. We have really local experts then. So we have compliance experts, which by now are really global compliance experts, I would say, because wherever we go, they are the ones which there's always 70% the same, doesn't matter where you are in the world, right? There's a lot of overlap from the knowledge, but the
Right.
reports might look different, right? And then there's 20-30% which are different. So we from beginning on, we include the central banks. From beginning on, we have local consultants, local regulatory experts, which are on our side to help us to achieve the most possible outcome in the shortest time. Yeah. And the tech
And
gives it
those
away. The
those
tech is easy
local
to handle.
partners,
Tech can do everything.
are they partners of yours? Are they resellers? How does that work
Yeah.
for you in your business?
So it's really varies. So we have internal, I would call it in-house consulting. We call it client success team. We have a pretty tough leadership on the top of this. That's success team. And that team around really knows a lot of things. And whenever they need local experts, then we pull them in. They might be from the client itself that they have a relationship to the central bank. The client might have the answer, or we talk to the big fours of the world or any local consulting company, which adds then this little bit missing part, right? Um, but you're right, and the complexity is really the regulatory and the compliance. You're completely spot on here.
And where do you see the growth here? Because I think one of the things that intrigues me most about what you offer is it's not just a banking solution, right? It's also very much tied to the community, the fan base, the brand loyalty. So it goes it goes far beyond just making your payment for your utilities, for example, right? You talked about loyalty points, you
Yeah.
talked about merchandising. I mean, this is a lot broader than just a banking solution, right?
Yeah. So yeah. It grows right now. We started like migrating our core solution to existing banks. That's why it was at the beginning of the company, right? And then quickly then we grew into neobanks, digital banking. We see it's still growing. Everyone has communities where we belong to. It might be local communities, it might be sport communities, it might be music. There are many communities out there, but at the end you have to be part of it, right? And that's where the trust is. And we still the growth there. It's really where people are want to be having the bank accounts and think like this. Now, if you are part of a soccer club for there, and this football club has everything laid out there, you can even participate in simulation games like or there are no games anymore. You all know this old game of where you can be part of a football management team and buying shares of your players, whatever. It's literally doable now. You can buy an NFT or a coin of your favorite soccer player if you're part of the team, right? You do it in the banking app. And then if the player has a good season, the value goes up. If the bad season, the value goes down. Or if the football club looks for stadium enhancement or any rebuild, any retouches, they need to raise money for it. This fundraising can be done digitally on the banking app. So we enable them to offer coins directly on the banking app. And instead of giving a charity donation, then we now have the chance to sell a coin, and those fans own a share of the club. Brandon, I think we breaking off here. Some one of us. Did you hear me?
Yeah, no, it seems to be a little bit rocky here. Um, I had a question. You talk about coins. Do you work with, obviously with existing coins, but do you also work with companies or organizations to initiate their own coins in terms of a cryptocurrency, or do you just work with the traditional ones?
No, it's more, let's say, it's more the NFT than the cryptocurrencies or currency. I think we don't support as a banking provider, but of course, when it comes to tokenization of assets, which is an NFT,
Right,
stadium enhancements or soccer players can be even humans, right? They put an
right.
NFT behind that we support. We don't do it right now in the US because regulations are a bit more stiff. We do it in Europe, in Switzerland, in UK. In those countries, we can help with the tokenization of those assets. We can help with the custodian side of those assets, with the fiat crypto exchange. We have licenses within our partners in there. So we're quite well equipped, and our solution gives it away, right? We can even provide Visa cards where you have dual possibilities. You have on one side the coin for payments, and the other side you have the fiat currency.
This is very interesting because I'm not, I've been, I know a little bit about, for example, critical minerals. And
Yep.
that's a space where recently there have been, and there is one particular example of an asset-backed crypto token that has been created together with a company
Yep.
out of Dubai and Switzerland, in fact, where there is $7 billion of gold sitting in a custodian account, effectively. But the crypto token is launched to go up to, I think it's something like over $40 billion.
So I think we lost us again. Brandon, are you there? I I think I lost you, Brandon, here.
In the
Hello. Give a second to get you back. Brandon, I think I hear you again.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, I know I heard you, but the picture was gone.
Yeah,
So yes, I know
yeah,
about this gold-backed stablecoin, and there are many out of them right now. There's not only one; there are multiple going with the same direction. But the one you mentioned with the numbers sounds familiar to. We talked to them. So gold-backed assets and stablecoins are right now quite hyped. I think that's also a strong reason why the
yeah.
gold price is going up strongly right now because everyone buys them for having enough gold for the coin, right? So might there a future or not? I mean, that's a different topic, nothing to do with what our service delivers. But can we support stablecoins? Of course, we can do this. We can sit on those rates, and whenever the regulations allow it, we will do it, right? So somehow lost now, Brandon. 1 second, let's see if he comes back. Or let's wait for Brandon to come
Yeah,
back.
Lars, sorry.
And there he is.
I switched off
I
for
think
you
you have a
because
big connection wherever
the
you are in the
Wi-Fi.
world.
I'm going to 4G on mobile. So
Oh, yeah, that should be
sorry
better
about
now.
that. The question was really about cryptocurrency.
Yeah, I said it already. I said
Okay.
I heard this question. I just explained, and the audience might have heard already my answer. So yes, there are many of those projects out. Stable coins are backed by gold nowadays, and I know the one which you mentioned. Numbers sound familiar to me. I think a good reason why the gold price goes up that strongly is because all those coins are buying gold wherever they can buy it right now. So it's definitely a shortage in the market. There's also silver back. There is also oil back. There are any kind of commodities used right now to back a coin.
Right.
I mean, that's the good old principle of money at the end, right? Money was founded like this, that the gold coin was put in because it was too heavy to carry around. They put it in the safe and made a little letter saying that's the equivalent of the value of gold. Nowadays, the problem is that in those banks are not anymore the gold in the vault. They put just a letter in. This letter has the same value like this amount of gold. So that's why we have inflation everywhere in the world, right? Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, but that's interesting. This thing's happening, and of course, we're connecting with stable coins too. That's not we used to multi-rail payment solutions. So it can be fiat, it can be SEPA, SWIFT, ACH, whatever it is in the world. But we also support, of course, those new rails. And it's not so difficult how you hold it. A lot of regulations coming up, especially in Europe. Europe is very driving forward with regulatory regarding crypto exchanges and crypto payments. So from next year on, things are more under control, and it's every year goes up. There's a whole catalog out. I think that's where we have to ultimately play with in the future.
So I want to come back to the topic of the whole session of the last couple of days and the next and tomorrow is how do you make an impact on the planet for a positive? Yes, we all want to make some money. Everybody wants to do better in life. How does what you do help people, not necessarily itself, but how do you enable, how could somebody use what you do as an enabler for positive change in their local community, in the global community, or in some particular way, whether that's from a social perspective or an environmental perspective?
Well, I think there's a lot of impacts here, right? I think the whole bandwidth we can support with it, right? Of course, if you want a bank with multiple accounts with 50 employees rather than with 100,000 employees, that's from sustainable impact already tremendous because less office, less energy consumption, and so on. I mean, the chain is easy to understand, right? On the other side, we make banking much easier approachable. So everyone can have an account, everyone can have a trust account. We make it more transparent. Our system supports also the 450 different ways of calculating interest or interest calculation methods. But we don't think that makes sense to use them, right? Algorithms been used in the past to confuse the confused consumers, and we're a strong believer to simplify banking. That's the future in it, right? Our AI solutions, our AI chatbots, you can call them, there's always open line. Someone talks to you, of course AI, and 90% are handled by the robot, but it talks to you like a native person, right? And um, so you don't have waiting time anymore there. You have an agnostic AI chatbot. He understands you are a seasoned banker or someone with a seasoned banking experience. He might give you shorter answers than if there was a young person having to do with banking, or the first loan, the first mortgage, gives you much more explanation. So at the end, I think we reach a wider spectrum of people. We make banking easier, we make it more reliable, more trusted with it, simplify the term banking in the classical way. We give access to new payment methods which haven't been there before. We make it global maybe. And we use much less energy on the planet to operate this than any big bank out there today.
Well, it sounds very interesting. I know we've got a few minutes left. Is there something you would like to bring across to people about how they could reach you or where you could really be of most value to them?
Well, mbank.com, important. The bank has a Q at the end, not a K. So MBanq.com. That's how we can world. We can help. It can be wallet, can be bank, can be embedded banking, and any transfer of money we can help with it. Connecting to stable coins, you can help with it. That's very good at, and where we think we do things different. We really run a company quite different, and we hope that we are part of the future economy with this.
Well, it sounds very interesting. I think that there is certainly, certainly people, there are large banks, there's lots of capital flowing around. There was a very interesting conversation yesterday about impact finance and how, it was interesting. I was watching some discussions recently also about how as disposable income and has people become better, more wealthy, or at least have more disposable income, they seek to make better connections with humans, and how AI and technology enables that additional income. And with that additional income, people are looking to make better and better connections with culture, with people again, and that really is a global trend. And I think that tying investing and banking with those sorts of initiatives makes an enormous amount of sense.
100% on. And you just put a name on it, right? We have, for example, in Asia, we have people, they do professional e-gaming. That's
Right,
not gambling, that's gaming. They play FIFA and racing games, whatever, and they earn $5, $10, which in some regions is a lot of money, right? But
right.
getting this money out of to them that they can pay it out and cash it out to themselves, very difficult. So what we do, we can enable this and find rails which just for a few cents they can get access to the capital or get their own Visa card and can do tap pay with their phones, right? So with this, we enable really things which haven't been there before, and low cost income can be generated now online, but it needs to find a way back to the consumer. So yeah, I think
At the end of the day,
we talk the same stuff what they said yesterday. I think with AI, let's face it, most of us will lose the job the next 10 years. Things will be different, right? Everyone has a different job in the future. But 100 years back, people had different jobs too. 50 years back, jobs been different. So we should not be scared about it. We just have to understand that everyone is part of this journey, right? Everyone has to find a new home and a new way of earning money and a new way how to make your living. It can be a fixed income on a state base or a global way. God knows what it will be, we find out. But that needs kind of organization and rails behind. And we believe that we built around this framework of whatever will be used in the future.
I think what you said was very interesting because when you study at business school or whatever, they'll give you the fantastic business cases of zero of the companies that supplied ice in the icebox industry made it to the refrigerator and freezer industry, if you know what I mean. And so I think there are a lot of business cases which will show you how disruptive technologies, and that's something that really interests me personally, is looking at industries that are set for disruptive change in the next 3 to 5 years. Longer than that, and you're on the bleeding academic edge, and shorter than that, you've missed the boat to some degree. So I think
Sure.
there's a lot to be said for that. And I think on the short term, as you say, it will change the nature of work. On the short term, the losers will be the ones who don't use it versus the ones who do use it. Because let's be honest, we all are taking advantage of the research capability of it. But one of the things that I personally note is it starts becoming extremely easy to notice people who just publish stuff that's published by or written by AI. It has a predictable format. It has a predictable language, which, at the end of the day, I think if you just copy and paste, you lose a lot of credibility. So AI has its advantage in terms of helping, but it's not at a point yet where I think it replaces a lot of people. There's still a lot